Hey guys, it's Christy and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about the history of Nars Cosmetics, and I'm going to be doing almost an entire face of Nars in the process. So before we get into it, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's get into it. Alright, so like I mentioned, I am so excited to do this type of video. I'm going to try my best to tell the story while doing my makeup, so forgive me. And if you do see me looking down a lot, it's because I'm trying to follow my notes. So I've already primed my eyes, and I'm just going to use my Nars Summer Unrated palette. Really been loving this one. So let's just jump into the story of Nars. So Francois Nars grew up in France, and he was heavily influenced by his mother, Claudette. I think he had a collection named after her last year or the year before, but she was a heavy influence in his love of makeup, and he actually grew that interest from a really young age. She was very involved with designers and makeup artists in Paris, so he just kind of grew up in that world. And Claudette actually helped Francois get one of his first jobs assisting a Paris makeup artist. And Francois then graduated from I believe it's the Carita makeup school in Paris, and he had a lot of friends in the industry by this time, and they all encouraged him to move to New York to really pursue his passion. So in 1984, that's exactly what he did. He moved to New York and he began working with various designers and doing makeup on a lot of different runway models. And in 1994, we saw the creation of Nars Cosmetics. So for this one, Francois worked with another designer. I believe his name was Fabien Baron, and he created the packaging that we know today for Nars. So the vision was to create packaging that was chic with a modern look and a unique feel, which led to that creation of that matte black with that sort of velvety texture, that soft touch matte that we all know and love today. I've said many times myself, that's like my favorite texture ever. I love that texture. So that's how the creation of the packaging was born. And then from there, after the packaging was created, this brought us to 1994, where the original 12 lipsticks were launched. So at this time in 1994, the makeup industry was not moving nearly as quickly as it does today. So brands didn't typically release a ton of shades of a lipstick at one time. Things were just much slower paced. But lipstick was still a top selling product. So Francois wanted to release lipsticks, and he limited himself to 12 shades. So he created these 12 lipsticks with an intentional balance of reds, pinks, and nudes. And these were all based off of shades that he kind of created himself, mixing with other brands. So when he was doing makeup on runway models, he would kind of create his own custom lipstick shades from other brands that he had in his makeup kit, and he ended up creating like 12 solid shades that he always used all the time because they just work so well. And that is how he founded the original shade range for the original 12. And these 12 lipsticks were then launched in 1994 in Barney's, New York, and they were an instant success. So then fast forward to March 1996, and Carolyn Murphy, who was a pretty well-known model at the time, was on the cover of Harper's Bazaar, and she had this really beautiful orange monochromatic look. I'll pop up a photo right here, but she had this really beautiful monochromatic orange look, and people went absolutely crazy for this look. And in the credits of that look, the makeup credits, it showed that she was wearing one of the Nars lipstick shades in the shade Tangier. And this was like a burnt orange type of shade, and it's unfortunately no longer available. But because that lipstick was listed in the credits for that look, all of a sudden people were wearing this shade all over their faces, lips, cheeks, eyes, to really recreate that look. And this led to the creation of the multiple stick. So Francois realized that he could create a stick of pigment that could be used on lips, cheeks, and eyes. And this would be like a foolproof product with a velvety formula that would have just the right texture to be used on all three places. So the creation of the multiple was also a huge success. The multiple is still sold today, which I thought was really kind of cool. And Francois actually shot the first campaign for the brand for the multiple stick, and he did all of the campaign shots himself, which actually then led to his passion for photography, which I also thought was interesting. So then next up, in 1999, we saw the release of the Orgasm blush. This was meant to be a blush highlighter hybrid with just the perfect amount of shimmer, and the levels of pink and orange were supposed to be a perfect balance of both. So we all know that blush became a huge success, and it's actually funny when I think about it, because I remember, if you're a Friends fan, I remember seeing, I think it was the episode where Monica and Chandler are getting married, and Monica's sitting down at the table and she wants to do her makeup, and I remember noticing on her table as she was taking out makeup there was a Nars blush, which I just thought was really cool, because that would have been, I think, 2002. I just thought that was kind of cool. So then in 2000, the brand actually sold to Shiseido, and Francois actually remained on as the artistic director, in-house photographer, and copywriter. So he still does all of the things for the brand, which I love to see. But it was acquired by Shiseido at that time, and I did a ton of digging to find out information about this brand. It was actually kind of hard to figure out the entire history, but one thing I could not find was when the brand officially launched in Sephora, and my best guess would be that it was either around 1998 when Sephora first opened its stores in the US, or in around 2000 when they were acquired by Shiseido, but I'm not sure. I could not find any confirming information for that. So after they were acquired by Shiseido in 2000, in 2002 we saw the launch of Nars Skin. So the theory behind this was that there is no good makeup without good skin. And I don't think Nars Skin is still around. I looked on their website, I looked at Sephora, and I didn't see anything. So I don't think the brand is still around. Okay, I'm just going in with the Nars Climax Mascara. This is my first time using this. I've never used this mascara before. It's not really knocking my socks off, if I'm being honest. Like, it's definitely got the type of wand I enjoy, but definitely not impressing me. Yeah, this is just okay in my opinion. Okay, so I don't actually have the Radiant Creamy Concealer anymore. I used to have it and I finished it up, so I'm just going in with my Nars Soft Matte under my eyes. And then over the years, there have definitely been several launches from Nars, but in 2011, he realized how much he really wanted a store with his namesake on it, like a boutique store that just sold Nars products. And so with that, he opened the first flagship store in New York City in 2011 at 413 Bleecker Street in New York. And then a year later, in 2012, he opened the second flagship on Melrose Avenue in LA. Okay, so then if you have been following my channel, you know I'm going with my all-time favorite foundation, the Nars Light Reflecting. I absolutely love this. It's so good. Okay, so then in 2013, we saw the launch of the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer, and that is still an incredibly popular concealer today. A lot of people still really, really love it. I actually finished mine earlier this year as part of my Project Pan. And then in 2014, he launched a new range of lipsticks called the Audacious lipsticks, and these are still pretty popular, are still available in 40 shades. And in 2017 to 2018, we saw the expansion of the Orgasm line. So that's when we saw the Orgasm liquid blush, the balms, the loose powders. Okay, so the foundation is on. I'm just going to go in with the Nars Laguna Bronzing Cream. I love this so much. So obviously there are certain shades that Nars has that have become very popular for Nars over the years. Obviously, Orgasm did very well. Laguna is also very, very well known, and they have such a wide product range at this point that it's so interesting to me to see exactly where they started, where they came from. You know, this was just a guy who was a makeup artist and developed a passion for makeup and, you know, launched a range of lipsticks, and now here we are. It's one of the biggest makeup brands, I would say, and Nars is a brand that I've always known about, I've always been aware of, but I would say in the last year they've really caught my attention. Otherwise, I didn't really pay that much attention to Nars. I know we do give Nars a hard time for releasing the same type of things over and over, but it's because it's what works, right? It's what sells for them, so why wouldn't they? Over the past year, I would say since I tried out the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation, I developed my own love for the brand. I've tried quite a few things since, and as a result, Nars has actually become one of my very favorite makeup brands over this past year. So that's kind of why I decided to do a history of the brand, and I found it so interesting. I love knowing where brands started, where they came from, things like that. And one thing I will note is that unfortunately Nars is no longer cruelty free because a few years ago they decided to expand into the Chinese market. So unfortunately they are no longer cruelty free, which I do think is disappointing, but I'm hoping will change in the coming years. But I love the products of this brand, and the products have never let me down. So that's just something that I really wanted to mention. I do have a mini of the Nars Orgasm blush. I do have a different shade as well, but I wanted to use Orgasm. It is, you know, one of the staples of the Nars brand. And I also find it interesting how many products Nars has that are still here today. I just found that fascinating. And this blush, it truly is a beautiful blush. It's never been one of my all-time favorites, but I do think it's very beautiful. And I think if you look back to 1999 when this first came out, I can totally see why this would have been a revolutionary type blush. It is quite beautiful. Now, I do not have a Nars lip liner, but I do have two of their velvet lip pencils. I do have this shade Sex Machine, which is, I used to be obsessed with this shade. I don't know what that's about, but I used to be obsessed with this shade. And I also have the shade Cruella, which is kind of like a red. I think I'm just going to use this one because that's the one I'm kind of most curious about. I don't know if it'll completely go with the look, but we'll try it out anyway. It's more of a berry tone red, if anything. Alright, so here is the final look. This red turned out to be quite a bit more of a berry red, which I'm happy about, but at the same time I feel very like fall holiday-esque right now. So these velvet matte lip pencils, these are actually something that was released in the early 2000s, which I thought was really cool, and they're a really truly great formula. I really do like them. They are that velvet matte, so that soft touch matte that Nars is famous for having as the texture of all of their packaging, but they actually have it on these lip products as well, so I really like these. But that is it. That is a full face-ish of Nars makeup. The products are all fabulous. There isn't one thing that I hated. The only thing that I'm not overly in love with is that mascara, but otherwise I absolutely love everything I use today. I'm obsessed with the eyeshadow. I'm obsessed with that foundation. We know that the Nars Soft Matte Complete Concealer is just a gem. That Nars Bronzing Cream is fabulous, and the Orgasm Blush, it is maybe a little overrated, but still a really great product. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed kind of going through a history of the brand with me. I just find these videos in general so interesting, so I hope I did it justice. Let me know down below if you're interested in this series and seeing more, and let me know if you are interested, what brands would you like to see me talk about next. I would absolutely love to keep building on this series. So that is it for me today. Thank you so very much for watching. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you go. I do upload at least 3 new videos every single week. And that is it for me today. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!